Hi, and welcome to Rudy Sassoon's Science Fantasy Experience, and this is Manta Force. It's a behemoth. So, before I even start to talk about the pure awesomeness of Bluebird's Manta Force, it wouldn't be a Science Fantasy Experience video without a trip down memory lane, a bit of history, a bit of nostalgia surrounding this toy. So back in 1987, when this was released, I had it as a Christmas present of that year. It was my only Christmas present of the year, of that Christmas. My dad had been made redundant twice in that year, so it was a tough time for my family for a lot of months, and especially the build up to Christmas. And my parents had explained the situation. I was born in '78, so I'm 9 years old. I understand the gravity of my dad losing a job that he'd had for a long time, and then subsequently getting another job. Well, it was the same company had been taken over, and then it folded again. So there was no money for Christmas that year. My parents scrimped and saved to get me a toy for Christmas, and it is Bluebird's Manta Force. And what a toy to receive on Christmas Day, when the build up to Christmas had been incredibly tough. We didn't get a Christmas tree until the 23rd, where my dad had actually gotten a new job 2 weeks previously, so my dad was ecstatic, and my mum had been able to pick up a part-time job. So the feeling in the house had totally changed, and we were ready for Christmas. But my dad had gone out somewhere, and he comes back with a branch from a Scots pine, and that was our Christmas tree. And this thing was ginormous. I'd say it was like 7 foot. It barely even fitted in our lounge. So as the days progressed, Christmas got more and more exciting, because there was a tree, and there was a giant box wrapped underneath it. So I knew I was only getting one toy, and I just had no idea what it was. I'd not written a list for Santa. And also, because there was no money, my mum had decided to do alternative Christmas, and we had steak and chips instead of like the full Christmas meal. It is one of my fondest and most powerful Christmas memories. It's possibly the greatest Christmas day of my childhood, because it was that different and unexpected. And when I get into the toy, what an incredible toy to have. Moving on from that, this is not my original toy. I subsequently sold it at a car boot sale, I'd say maybe when I was 18, because I was going off to university and I didn't have enough money. So I chose to put this on the car boot sale. And thinking back, part of me always regretted it, but I always like to see things from maybe two angles. So I'm not so bothered now or regretful of selling it, because I knew my end game was to go to university and have enough money and do well. So in that respect, I fulfilled that. I do regret not having it in the collection for so long, but the joy of getting it again and having the swell of emotion and the thoughts of nostalgia come back in that process of hunting down the toy, looking through eBay and private sellers and toy fairs, finding one for the right price has been an absolute joy. And when I picked it up, when did I get it? Maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It was absolutely incredible and powerful. And even though it's got pieces missing and it's yellowing a little as I look at it, at the time, regretful, but it added an extra dimension in toy collecting as an adult. And it's, as I said, it's a behemoth. It is an entire space battle force in one gigantic ship. So here is the 1987 Bluebird Manta Force. I'm going to start with the box because it's so huge and I've had to move myself along because it only just fits in the camera screen. But here it is, the huge box that it came in, and that is the ship in its entirety, the Manta. And Manta Force stands for Multiple Air, Naval and Terrain Assault Force, and everything you see fits inside the Manta. All these figures, all the vehicles, all the men. It detaches, it attached, it has firing missiles. To get an idea of the sure amazing contents, here is the back. It's an absolutely phenomenal toy. Ages 4 to 9, but anybody could have had this. I was 9 when I got it, and I subsequently found out when my mum popped round, I'd say after about a year of having it, mum was like, "Oh, I remember getting you that," and it spurred something nostalgic in my mum as well. She remembered, you know, the time of getting it, and she said, "I was a little bit worried that it was too childish for you." And I was like, "No, not at all." I played with it for years and years and years, and it's just, I'm probably just going to keep saying how awesome and phenomenal it is, because it's big, it's heavy, it's robust, it can, you know, it can take a toy battering. And the one that I picked up a few years ago, as I said, there's a couple of stress marks and it's yellowing and it's missing pieces. I've been able to pick up subsequent extra figures along the way. But yeah, as you can see, the different elements that make up the naval, the Air Force and the all-terrain vehicles. When I first got it out of the box, I gravitated to, you know, the air team at first, and I had to play with those, and then I got hooked on the underwater submersibles. I've always been a huge Stingray fan, so I did enjoy a lot of time, you know, pretending to do underwater battles. But as an adult collector and reviewing it, I love the all-terrain vehicles. As collecting has progressed, I've become more and more interested in like military vehicles, whether it be Bruticus or G.I. Joe Action Force. There's something about all-terrain vehicles that I absolutely adore. So that has been the box. Moving on to the actual toy itself. So here we have the toy itself. And as you can see straight away, I've got a little bit of peeling stickers on either side, and I've got a bit of yellowing going on the top, which, you know, I used to be really bothered by it. I always used to want my toys in pristine condition, but since this is a 30-year-old toy and it's made out of that plastic that does yellow over time, I don't mind so much now. I'm a bit more relaxed when it comes to toy collecting, and the way that I display it in my collection, you don't actually see the yellowing, but that's part and parcel of toy collecting. Toys yellow, especially white toys from the 80s. But getting into a bit more of the detail with the Manta, you have got firing missile launchers that pivot and fire. And my springs are incredibly strong. I can't believe that they're still this good after all that time. And then you've got a little bit extra missile storage. And then you've got an opening canopy where you can house the 3 main people that look after each of the forces. Sadly, I'm missing the gold one, which is Commander Quest, who is the Supreme Commander of Manta Force, and he leads the Manta Hawks, which are the Blue Air Force. And then we've got Captain Finn. He's the Manta Sharks Navy captain, and he's more of a metallic blue. And all the good guys have the letter M on their chests, and all the bad guys, which are the Viper Squad, have V's. And this is one of the Viper Squad, the enemy stowaways, and their leader was called Major Vex. So yeah, so the gold one is meant to live there in the middle, but we've got the silver one, which is Captain Hunt, leader of the Manta Wolves, which is the terrain force. And then you've got incredible detailing, all raised panel work. You've got Hydro Boost engines. All the moulded detail is absolutely fantastic. And as I said in the introduction, it's heavy, it's big, it's a real chunk of plastic, but the real enjoyment comes with the fact that you have got 10 other vehicles inside. You've got 3 for each of the forces, the terrain force, the air force, and the navy, and you've also got a Battlecopter. But as I said, you can take off the top part, which is the Manta attack ship, when it is separated from the body, and that's got twin laser guns, and you literally just pop it off, and there you have your own portable ship that separates for independent missions. But it also neatly rests on the top to give it a little canopy, and as you can see, here is the various forces inside with seating for all of the teams. So the yellow ones are the terrain force, blue ones are the navy, and the white ones are the air force. I only have, I think, possibly 3 of the white ones, but when I bought it, it was missing a couple of bits and pieces, extra missiles and a lot of the white people. But I was at a car boot in the summer and I picked up a load of the yellow figures. I've got an abundance of yellow, but since they're my favourite now, I'm happy to own more. And as the months and the years pass by, I tend to get a few more bits and pieces just to really build it back up to its original glory. And then you can just drop down the deployment ramp. So starting off, let's start with the Air Force. So you have got Blue Lightning, which is a one-man jet fighter, And I'm going to say straight away, it's got the pew pew factor, you know, pew 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 pew. Essential for any sort of toy of this fashion, you've got to have the pew pew factor. With mine, you can see there's a little bit of stress marks going on, so I've got to be a little bit careful. The perils of collecting vintage toys. But the canopy opens, and you've got one of your Air Force guys sitting in there. So yeah, that is Blue Lightning. I should say the stickers on mine are absolutely incredible. I have no idea if, say, the likes of Toy Hacks or any retro label company is going to have the extra flashes for the top part. You never know, I might even get one of my friends at university to try and replicate them. I'd love to have it looking as good as it once was in the box. But yeah, that's Blue Lightning. And you've also got the Sky Skeeter and the M.A.N.T.A. So yeah, M.A.N.T.A, which is a vertical takeoff jetpack. And these all got extra little bits of description to them. So its main function is for spying and scouting and fast escapes. So much detail has gone into this toy to give it a backstory, because, you know, I think there was comics that came with it, but there was never a TV show. But yeah, you've got the M.A.N.T.A and you've got the Sky Skeeter, which again, a single-seater mini turbo chopper, which is for mid-range scouting. So yeah, movable parts, skis, again stickers, perfect. I've got no stress marks on this. And then you just grab one of your guys, pop them inside. Let's pick up one of the Viper squad. And you just pop them inside. There you go. Ready for some land speed attacks. So yeah, that's the Manta Hawks Air Force. Moving on to the Manta Sharks Navy, which, as I said at the start of the video, this was the middle one that I was interested in. You know, I like underwater submersibles. They're really interesting, and there's something about deep sea exploration that I very much loved in the 80s, and especially in the 90s with Sequest DSV. It really invigorated my interest in science fiction, seeing Sequest DSV, and these are, you know, within the same vein. So you've got the SAM, the SAM, which is the Submersible Automated Manipulator. Again, one-man underwater vehicle, and it gives superhuman strength to the operator, equally effective on dry land. Again, with movable arms and a canopy. So yeah, as a kid, you know, my childhood memory of this toy is just filling me with incredible emotion and nostalgia, and just taking a proper look at it to see the extra molded details. It's such a phenomenal toy, so much fun, and you can just have incredible make-believe stories and playtime with it, whether you set up a force that goes underwater or you combine the two. You know, you can use Sam with the Ski Skeeter to do a land attack. I'm just coming up with any ideas of play, because it is incredible toy for playing with as well as display. But moving on, we've got Aqua Attack, which is the only one that's broken on mine. The canopy broke off when I first got it out, when I bought it, you know, 4 or 5 years ago. I was so excited, and I literally just pinged the canopy off.
which I could have glued it back, but I'm sure I'll come across one at a future time. Subsequently, I think it was maybe 6 months later, after the Manta Force had been released, they brought out the same ships in different colours, which would be a lovely little addition to the collection at some point. Whether I'll go there or not, I've often mentioned in my videos that I only really need 1 or 2 bits from each toy line, and I'm not so fussed about rebuying toys that I originally had as a kid. This one, and there is a GoBot that I would like, which toys I had as a kid, because they do bring absolute nostalgia to me. But yeah, this Manta Force is one that I had to just replace back in the collection. So yeah, that's Aqua Attack, faster than a torpedo, a 1-seater submarine used for quick surprise attacks. Now we're getting on to a bigger toy within the Sharks Navy, which is a 2-seater. You've got the Hydro Blaster. Again, high-speed hydrofoil with twin long-range rocket launchers. Again, canopy lifts up and you can fit 2 guys. 2 guys inside. Yeah, and they just all clip in, so they're secure when you are playing around with it, when you're lifting it up off the floor. They're all clipped in. It's such a great toy. I'm just getting it out and reviewing it. I guess playing with it, a play review, I guess. It's so good. It's so interesting. It's one of those toys that transcends being a toy. It's so much more. There's all the feelings of nostalgia and memories that come with the toy. And then when you review and reflect back on the toy as an adult collector, you see little intricacies that you perhaps didn't see as a kid, or you just weren't interested in. I don't know how much more I can go on about how awesome it is, but again, let's move on to the M.A.N.T.A Terrain Force, which is now my personal favourite as an adult. And you have got the Strike Bike. Turbocharged, one man can cause instant havoc with its twin-firing sniper guns. Yeah, you've got the sniper guns. And you've got these boosters. And he rides it like a sled. And the brown colours really do work well. It can be quite hard to get a brown toy that works. There's a couple of Transformers that are brown that really work well. Chrome Dome works well in his brown colours, and Outback. But some other brown toys just sometimes don't work as well, but these definitely do. So yeah, that has been the Strike Bike. Moving on to the Gun Dog, which is armed to the teeth, easily manoeuvred 1-seater for serious enemy harassment. Some of these descriptions that I'm reading out, they're well written, and some of them are quite funny. Serious enemy harassment? I can see this just cruising over the battlefield, just taking out enemy attack vessels. It's got its movable rear-mounted gun, forward-firing missiles, 1-seater creating havoc. I think that could be one of my favourites. And then finally, you've got the big boy from the Terrain Force. You have got the Rocket Rama. This is my favourite of the whole set. So this is for rough terrain and tough action. 2-seater attack vehicle with massive long-range dual firepower. 2-seater attack vehicle, but I think you can get 3 in there. Canopy opens. You've got two in there, and then one in the ram. And because it's a ram, it does move up and down. And you've got a rolling wheel at the front and at the back. Yeah, that's my favourite. Just a couple of stickers here and there, just to bring it to life. Yeah, definitely this is my favourite, the Rocket Rama. And then the final part of the set is the Battlecopter. So this is a formidable troop carrier for up to 8 men, used by all sections of Manta Force, often hijacked by Major Vex and the Viper Squad. So yeah, they're already giving you a little story that the 5 figures that come, the Viper Squad, the 4 enemy stowaways and Major Vex, stealing the Battlecopter. So yeah, the canopy opens, 2 people, you know, a pilot and co-pilot. Got a swiveling, rotating battle turret with 2 missiles that can fire, and the back opens to reveal extra missiles. And it did once have a manned retractable laser gun. That was the one thing missing from when I purchased it, and I knew it was missing, so I'm hoping just to one day pick up that extra bit. I'd like to get it complete and a little bit mended, but you know, so that's one day in the far future. At the moment, I'm not so fussed. I've got plenty of other projects going on. I've got a Thunderbird 2 to paint. I've got a robotics to rebuild. I've got various action figures that I'm after. So yeah, that's the Battlecopter, and that is Manta Force, the Manta in its entirety. And as I said all the way through the review, the overview of one of my childhood toys, it is an incredibly awesome toy to own, to play with, to have on display, to review. And if you ever get the chance to see one in the flesh or play with one, then just take every chance, because I think it's a little bit forgotten, and it's a shame, because it's one of the prides of my collection. Made in Great Britain, made in this country by Bluebird, and it's one of the best toys that I own. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you all on the next video, on the next Figure Force video. Thanks. Bye.